Every sewer needs rats and slimes, and we're doing that this week on Tabletop Witchcraft. Hey there, welcome back to Tabletop Witchcraft. This week, we're going to be creating rats out of green stuff and slimes out of hot glue. Both are a ton of fun to make, and if you watched my video last week on the sewer wall, I'll put a link here, you'll see where I actually used the rat in that build, and that came out really cool. So check that out at the end of this video if you haven't seen it. These rats and slimes can be used as part of your terrain builds, or you can slap them on some 1-inch bases and use them as minis for your gameplay. So, if you're ready, go grab some supplies and let's get crafting. Okay, so we're going to start out by grabbing a Papermate pencil, mechanical pencil, and take the tip off and take the spring out as well. And if you can't pull the spring out, just grab a pair of dikes and just cut it off. Alright, once you get that cut off, cut the end of the tip off as well. Then you can go ahead and grab the spring, insert that back into the tip, and basically we're just making a filler here for our mouse or rat. Then grab a pair of needle nose pliers and just unwind the spring to about maybe 3/4 to maybe 1 inch in length for the tail itself. And leave the rest of the spring on there. We're going to use that to hold on to while we're sculpting the rat. Then grabbing the dikes, just cut the tip of the pencil off again. Again, we're just using this as a filler. Then grab some green stuff, and I like to shred it like this and then twist it until it forms a nice green color like that. And you don't want any blue or yellow streaks left in it. And then just wrap that little piece right around the base there. And if you need more, not a big deal. Just grab some of the green stuff that you've mixed up, put it in place, and just a little bit of a tap and a rub on it, and it'll blend right back into the putty itself. It's real easy to work with. And keeping your fingers a little damp while you're working with this stuff keeps it from sticking to you. Now the rat that we're going to be working on is going to be hunched over a little bit, so you can see I'm kind of curving the far end of the rat, but the back side of it, we want to have it more of a hunch look to it. So I'm going to add just a little bit more green stuff, and you can see how easy that blends right back into what we were working with earlier. Okay, now just roll up a little ball of the green stuff, flatten it out a little bit, and add that to the back third of the rat. That's going to be its hind quarter for its leg. And make sure you keep the definition right there on the front side of the hind quarter, but you want to smear in the back side of it into the body there. And don't worry about being totally smooth so that you can't see it anymore, because once you add your fur, your hair texture to this, you're not going to see that anyway. And you can look in the description below for my Amazon links to all the tools and supplies that I've used in this video if you're interested. Okay, so once you've done that to both sides, take another little ball of green stuff, make it into a little bit of a teardrop shape, and press it onto the other end of the rat for the head. And again, have that curving over a little bit as well. Then take a small little, I guess like a little log section of this, real small, just like that. Angle it back at a little bit of a little angle there, and then using this clay sculpting tool, we can bend the arm forward where that joint would be. And again, you want to repeat this process for the other side as well. And then again, leave that definition on the front side of that arm, and then blend in the back side right into the body. Okay, now roll up another little section here. Now we're going to create the ear. So a little round ball. Keep your fingers a little damp again, because once you put the definition in this ear, you'll never be able to get it off without destroying it if your hands aren't damp. Now grabbing this tool here, we're going to go ahead and just create a little bit of an earlobe. And then we'll peel it off our finger and place it right on the side of the head. And it doesn't take much to have this stick and stay in place, so you want to make sure you have it pretty much where it's going to be, right when it touches the head there. Okay, now we're going to take just another small little log section for the brow of the eye and place that like so right on the head, and the far left side we're going to blend into the top of the ear, and the front side will blend into the nose, leaving that little arch section there in the middle. Then we'll take this section here of this color shaper and just give him an eye socket and pull down and away towards the cheek, and that will make the puffy look that you see that's that you see on rodents, like a chipmunk or a rat in this case. Then I just took a very small ball of green stuff, placed into the eye socket, poked a little tiny hole in it, and then took an even smaller ball of green stuff and placed that in that section for the eye. Now we'll just add a little definition around the nose. Okay, then a little bit of green stuff on the spring and twist it, and that will give you that classic kind of spiral look for a rat tail. Now we'll go ahead and we're going to just drag up and pull up towards the top of the spine in little strokes with this clay sculpting tool for some hair texture. Now this is the same way I made the bear pelt in the blacksmith accessory video. So if you're curious how I did that, I just sculpted that pelt to the shape I wanted and then just pulled in the direction towards where the spine would be, adding the hair texture. Then I went ahead and took some white paint as a primer. And now I'm grabbing some dark brown. I'm using all Vallejo paint here to paint the body. And now I'm grabbing some flesh tone for the ear. You'll see I'm going to paint the ear with this, the nose, the claws, and the tail. Now I forgot to show the claws and the feet, but essentially I just flattened out an oval section like I did the ear, but in this case it was an oval, and pressed it underneath each hind quarter and the front feet, and just took a scalpel and just cut little wedges out of it, little triangles to make claws. And then we'll take some Agrax Earthshade and do a heavy wash once that dries over all the brown. And once we've completed that, we're going to take some Reikland Flesh Shade. It's a Citadel wash, and I'm going to wash all of the flesh tone colors with this. And as you can see, I'm laying it on pretty thick. So do the tail, do the ears, the feet, the nose. Now I'm taking a dark maroon color and I am painting the entire eye this color. I would have liked to have left the pupil without touching it, but I actually hit it by accident. You'll get a little bit more of a pop with this second color if you had left that white. And now this is a Carmine Red by Vallejo, and I'm just touching the tip of the eye to really make it stand out, almost like it's glowing. Then all we got to do is nip off the end of the tail. And again, make sure all your paint's dry before you do that, so you don't ruin your paint job. And then just a Q-tip just to touch up the end of the tail where the metal's showing. And that rat is done. Okay, now we're on to some slimes. This is a really fun project. You can get really creative with all kinds of different designs for these slimes. We're switching over now to hot glue, And what you want to do is grab a little bowl here, add some ice to it, and then with a small pair of pliers, bend a toothpick into some wavy shapes. You can see I snapped it there by accident. It doesn't matter. We're just using these toothpicks here as a base for our hot glue to stick to. So you can see I'm doing a nice wavy section here. And again, you'll see at the end of the video a whole bunch of different designs for these slimes that you can make. So once you have your first shape here, just start adding some hot glue. Don't worry about adding the effects like the blobs or the drips that are going to be coming off of this at the end. At first, you just want to coat the whole toothpick in hot glue. And this bowl of ice water here is going to allow us to keep waiting so we don't have to wait between glue applications. Okay, so we got our first layer of hot glue on there. Now our second layer, we might start adding right here a little ball of hot glue. So these slimes are going to be moving forward, so all the drips are going to be pushing off towards the back of the slime. So add as many of those little drips as you'd like. Just in a minute here, we're going to start working on another shape. This one you can see I'm actually twisting it, adding a different direction, kind of like the slime is branching off as it's moving. We're going to make 3 different, arms to this slime. Okay, once you have your designs, you're happy with the designs that you've made, cut one of them off at the base, just like that. Now with the hot glue gun, don't just put hot glue on there. You want to melt the section a little bit, and then you can go ahead, add a little hot glue, and then place this section in there, and it will all meld together and hold in real nice and tight. And you can see how easy that is and how creative you can actually get with these slimes with all different designs. Then just add a little hot glue over one end just to secure it in place. Alright, so I've added a third leg there, or arm. Now I'm adding more of action or motion to the slime. I'm going to add some longer drips, like it's moving really fast and this stuff is like flying off the back of it. So add some hot glue, draw the hot glue from up top like that down to a certain point, let some hot glue come out, wrap the hot glue around in a little bit of a circle so that you can, you don't have all these wisps hanging off of it. Let it drip, and once you have it to the length you want, dip it in the ice water and it'll set up real nice. Don't worry about the hot glue having these little strands everywhere, because we're going to take care of that in just a minute and I'll show you how. So with a lighter, real quick over the entire slime is going to melt any little wisps that you had right into the slime, and you'll never see them once you paint this up. Now this is some Vallejo airbrush primer. I didn't want to break out the airbrush for one slime, so I'm just painting it on here. And then I'm taking some Citadel paint here to do a zenithal prime on the slime, which is very important for the painting method that we're going to do here. This exact color, I forget the name of it, I will have it in the description below if you're interested in picking that up. Check that out. But you want to go ahead and take this technical paint by Games Workshop and paint the entire slime this color. The white parts all the way down to the bottom, which is black. Give it a good coat. Okay, so while that's drying, take this pin vise on a 1-inch base and drill that out. So now you can see how this is going to hold our slime right into place here. So once we have it where we want it, just to temporarily hold it, I'm going to add a little bit of super glue around that toothpick, and then some accelerant just to touch it to that so that I can kind of keep working and moving. We're going to add a little bit more hot glue, which in hindsight, I could have did all this before I painted it. It would have looked a little bit more uniform. So I would actually recommend doing that. And then take some hot glue on the bottom of the base and fill that in. It'll add some weight to the miniature, and it will also lock in that toothpick into the bottom. So just press this onto some parchment paper. Now don't get, have some patience with that. Press it on, leave it in place for a few minutes, and let it really dry before you try and peel it off. Now here I'm just adding some super glue, spreading it out over the entire base, and then adding some baking soda to that, and that's going to really make a cool looking stone texture. So after about 15 minutes you can brush that off. Now we're going to go back to some paint. I'm taking some really bright yellow paint and some almost neon paint at the end, and I'm doing almost like a light wash or a glaze over the brightest sections all the way up to the bulb part, I guess, of the blobs that are coming off the miniature. So I'm not doing the whole thing, just the lightest parts, because this yellow and green is going to really look cool when we're done. So as you can see, I did a little bit of a yellow highlight there, brought it all up. Now I'm taking some more of that green technical paint and giving it one more coat. And once I've had that done, now I'm going to take some black green Vallejo ink and paint the bottom of the miniature to make it really dark. Then very carefully I'm going to take some more of that black ink and touch the crevices all around the miniature to really bring out some definition between the bright yellow and the darker areas. Now as you glaze over the yellow part, it'll really make it look cool, blending those colors together. Now here I'm just taking a stone gray color, dry brushing it. Once that's dry, we'll hit up the base with a Nuln oil by Games Workshop. Let that dry, and then we're just going to paint the rim of this miniature black. Now the most important part to make this look like a slime is grabbing some Vallejo gloss varnish. This is the magic step to this piece. Grab some of this gloss varnish and paint it on there heavy over the entire thing. It's going to look almost milky a little bit when you paint it on there. That's fine. It's going to dry clear, shiny, almost like a hard shell over the whole thing, and really make this thing look like it's a wet blob of slime. Looks totally awesome.
So it's time for you to create your own rat and slime army. If you do that, or if you do any other art that's inspired by my channel, whether it's working with foam, clay, or digital art, head on over to my Facebook page. I'll put a link in the description below where I've created a fan art photo album, and I'd love to have you upload it there so we can all check it out. Now in the description below, you'll also see links to my Instagram and to Patreon. If you want to support the channel, there's a bunch of ways to do it. Patreon's one of them. I've got a whole bunch of tiers over there where you can get things like private Discord chats, access to the Coven, my private Facebook page, t-shirts, and more. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention was I recently switched over to itch.io to sell my plans or to make my plans accessible to you. And I used to use DriveThruRPG, and I'm trying to get a feel for what everybody wants me to use. Itch.io is a little bit more customizable on the page. That's why I like to use it. I can customize it more, but they also allow a little bit better revenue stream for the content creator as well. Both sites use PayPal, so there really isn't any different change or any change for you. So maybe leave a comment in the section below and let me know if itch.io is a method that you would like to use to download my plans. With that, if you like the video, make sure to like, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification for all further videos here on Tabletop Witchcraft. And until next time, I'll see you around.